Welcome, friends. I want to make sure that the audio is good on this. I made some adjustments. I'm actually going to, just to kick us off here, I'm going to just get started with a little bit of a song while I get things situated. Yo.
Sword out. Open book. Let's rock. Yeah. Scroll, feed, scroll, every lounge tap. Cheap grace talk, little truth, little chat. They sellin' feel good, cotton in the brain. We brewing strong words, snapping every chain, thinking chain fam. Pour it up, let's see. Scripture in its filter, let the doc.
As I get this rolling, guys, just let me know if you got some questions with regards to Logos.
Context cuts deep, 2 edge to the head, armor on tight, we don't play with the dog. We dissect wolves, verse by verse, line by line. Yeah. It's that battle at the thinking, breaking all the chains, all the book raised up. Word in my hands, let it light my path, tearing down lies with a holy wrath. We in war at the thinking, every single show bring the scripture up. Mind on the truth, let the old ways die, let the word of God stand like the smoke. They dress up doubt in the cap and the gown. Clever little quotes trying to water faith down. We bring whole counsel, not clip, not trim. From the garden, grown to the glory. Line up, line, see the story connect. From the prophet's cry to the prospect. We train saints up, saints souls to see how the text reads us. What we think we read. It's a field, man, you not a man. Time tell, we equip, we correct when the field is fair. So when false light shines like plastic glow, you can spot that twist from a mile or so. It's that battle at the banking cup, breaking all the chains, all the book raised up. Word in my hands and the light in my path, tearing down lies with a holy wrath. We in war at the banking cup, every single show bring the scripture. Mind on the truth, let the old ways die, let the word of God stand like the smoke just rise. Minds renew, hearts awake, old world shake, new path. Eyes on Christ, systems fall, truth stays true, that's the call, that's the call, that's the call, that's the call, that's the call. It's that battle at the banking cup, breaking all the chains while the book raised up. Word in my hands, let it light my path, tearing down lies with a holy wrath. We in war at the banking cup, every single show bring the scripture. Mind on the truth, let the old ways die, let the word of God stand like the smoke just rise.
Well, it is good to be here. I always love that song. So here's what we're going to do. This is going to be pretty casual. We are going through some Logos training, kind of last minute training. Partly because we have kind of going on right now. I'll post the details as we go through some of this training, but I am an affiliate of Logos, and so they do have some specials going on right now. Give you like 30 days free to check out, some of the stuff. So if you're interested in any of that as we're going through this, or maybe you already are using Logos, and that's great. That's okay. Hopefully you'll learn something today. But scan the QR code in the corner, jump into the Discord server, which is where we do additional Bible studies, chatting, talking, whatnot. There's pushing 160 now people in there. So definitely join and learn together, grow together. So those of you that are watching live, which I'm not expecting us to have a massive number of people watching live right now. That's fine. That's okay. Because it's kind of a last minute thing. Those that are watching live, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share with someone else about this training. I'll be doing additional trainings on the use of Logos, especially in the plethora of people that try to use AI and try to use other tools to study Scripture. There's a reason why I use and have been using for 11 years now Logos Bible Study software. So, having said that, by the way, Brian, good to have you. Thank you for letting me know that the audio is good. Last time we went through this, we spent a lot of time within, a lot of our interaction actually was inside of, it was inside the library, I believe, and it looks like potentially our live chat may not be working. Well, that's interesting. Oh, well, it is what it is. I'll put this up so y'all can see it. Spent most of the time in the library. I didn't go through everything that you can do in the library itself. There are ways to organize and structure and, things of that nature. There are, those of you that are inside of the library itself, if you click on or right click on the column section, there are additional, oh, you won't be able to see that. Hang on just a second. Let me switch to this version and let's see if you can see. No, you still can't see that. Hang on just a second. Let me change. Let me see if I can change over to this structure and see if you can see it now. There you go. Now you can see it. So you should be able to see, if you right click on any of these columns, it doesn't really matter which one. You can further kind of turn on or off additional items that you might want, whether it be, and I'll just go through some of this. The image itself is that item on the far right hand side. If you like to see kind of a picture of it's not a very large picture, but a picture of, I'll show you how to change actually what that is that's being utilized. The type is a categorical column that tells you the different, whether it's a Bible, a journal, a monograph, an encyclopedia. It's the categorical type that is being kind of utilized. Now, this particular item, now here's something that you just witnessed. If you click the column itself, it will sort either by ascending or descending that particular column. So if you're wanting to sort a column by the type, okay, you'll notice that it starts with A. In my library of 32,571 results, you'll notice that you've got the number in each thing, okay, from A all the way down to W, and you'll see the types that there's not a ton of them, okay, but things from ancient manuscripts to apparatus, and apparatus is something that is used in some other tools. It's the actual manuscript or critical apparatus that's used in certain tools behind the scenes. You've got actual manuscript translations. You've got manuscripts themselves, whether they're Greek manuscripts of certain documents or whatever it might be. To, Bible study related items, to cross-reference indexes. Again, you can kind of see the structure. You've got these Festschrift things are like collections of lectures. I believe that's the name or the purpose of those. Encyclopedias, you've got a bunch of different ones of those. So you can kind of see the way those are organized. Now remember, this is organizing it by type. If you click it again, it does it in reverse order. So ascending, descending, there's kind of like three structures, or just back to the normal view, okay? That can be done with every single one of these columns, okay? Traditionally, the way I have them organized is by last accessed. Okay. You'll see today all the way to yesterday. Part of that is because if I'm coming back into my library, I want to look at books that I last looked at. Okay, it tends to be a useful thing for me when I'm doing a lot of research and I spent a bunch of time in a bunch of places and I don't know where they're at or what I looked at last. That's a really helpful feature. Now, how do you get to that? Again, if you right click on a column, you'll notice down here, last accessed. You can add the unchecked ones are items that I don't currently have kind of selected. But you can turn on or off any of these. The last accessed is something that is to the far right. If you want to actually see this, then all you need to do is click, a left click, and then drag. So this can be dragged all the way. Let's say if we wanted to access this all the way over to the left, then we could drag this all the way over here so that we could actually see this when we open things up. You'll notice that when we put this over the edge of a column, you can change the width of that column. Generally speaking, the title, I prefer it to be reasonably large. You'll see that the publisher item probably doesn't need to be that large, so you can kind of bring this down. You may or may not want, whether it's in English or whatever it might be. Just so you know what the rest of these columns are, at least the ones that I've got showing. Type, I've already kind of shown to you. Last accessed is self-explanatory. Title is exactly what it is. It's the title of the actual book. If you click the title, then it will open it into another, what's called another panel, okay? If you drag it, if you click and drag, you'll notice it changes kind of colors. If you let go, then it will open that in that panel, okay? Pretty self-explanatory. You can change the size of this. I'll get to why that was in the very first one that I used. That was some previous research that I was doing. A quick shortcut on a PC anyways, if you want to change the text size or the size of any panel itself, just make sure that you're selected in the panel itself, and then it's Control plus or minus. So if you do minus, you'll see that the text size goes up or down. If you got horrible eyes like I do, you can increase the size of the text pretty easily, okay? Now I'm going to X out of this, and then I am going to drag the right-hand side over so that it's full screen for everyone. Again, you can click the column and it will sort, okay, from A all the way down. It'll sort them, okay, just depending on how you want to do that. I don't want to sort it. I want to sort, remember, I want to sort it by this particular column here, the last access. Author, pretty self-explanatory. If it is a single or two or three authors, yes, that is correct. That is absolutely correct. You can do the Control plus scroll wheel too for that as well. So I believe that's the case. If you hit, let's see. Yes, that is the case. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here is Control and the wheel itself. So depending on if you like it in shortcut on the keyboard or whether or not you use shortcuts with your mouse. And there are places, there is a place that you can go to find all the shortcuts. And let me do this real quick because I think that having my image over top of, let me see here. Let me just change this a bit. Okay. Hey, look at that. I'm going to change that just a tad bit so that everyone can see that a little bit better. There we go. That's better. Okay, so going back to the different columns. So author, pretty self-explanatory. If you're looking to sort by author, okay, again, you can sort. You'll see how that works. You'll see whether or not an author has, several different books or whatever it might be. Now, something that is pretty unique, again, you can sort up and down. You'll see this arrow right here goes up or down. You'll notice I have some that are just other languages here. There's a way that you can actually hide that. That's not real valuable for me because I don't speak whatever that is, Chinese probably. That's Korean, actually. I don't speak Korean. There's a way that you can hide those if you so desire. I won't get to that quite yet. So I'm going to go back and sort based on the last access. I'm going to keep moving through here so that you guys can see some of the other items. Publisher, language is pretty self-explanatory. You'll see if you click on that column, then go over to the left, these are all the different languages that, again, some of these I'm not going to find useful, okay? If you wanted to clear up your library and kind of get rid of certain languages that you're not going to have access to, if I remember, I'll show you how to, well, I can just show you real quick. Here is, here's one that I have absolutely no clue, okay? La Sancta Biblio, okay? If you right click on one of these, you can remove, okay? That is one way that you can do that. If you, I believe, trying to remember what the best, if you remove from this device, it will then, there you go, it's removing this particular one from the device. I don't tend to do that much because it doesn't matter to me. I have as much of my my library as possible in here. There's an additional way that you can do it. I thought you could hide. Let me go back to, I'm going to get out of this little information panel here. I'm going to get out of the sorting by that. Let's see. I'm not sure why it's not sorting. Did I have it sorted by another way? I don't think so. All right. Yeah, so that's how you remove. It's not too challenging. What else would you want to know? There is a nesting feature, okay? So like, let's say that you wanted to, let's just say that you wanted to sort this by, oh, that's why I'm all the way down at the bottom. Here, let's go to the top here, last accessed. Let's say that you wanted to sort this by, let's see, author. Okay, so I'm going to click on author. And then if I hold shift down, okay, shift will now nest the next one that I click on to sort it further. So remember, it's sorting by author, and then I'm going to do sort by type. So I'm going to hold shift and then click it again. You'll notice now when I go in here and I click into this particular author, for example, this author has 3 books that are sorted by grammar, monograph, and then sermons. Okay, so each of these, let's go find one that's like this particular author. You'll see that this author has 11 that are classified as Bibles, 14 commentaries, and then 1 encyclopedia, 51 journals. This is a reasonably prolific author here. And then a workbook and a study Bible. So, that can be helpful if you kind of want to know, if you want to sort out the type of book that said author is kind of utilizing. That can be helpful. Now, all you need to do is just kind of click out of those to resort. And then again, I prefer doing the last access. That's my preference. Okay. The subject, subject is a little different than type. You'll notice that a book can have multiple different subjects. Whether it might be, so this is hermeneutics. This would be Hebrew language. If you select one of these, actually, let's do one that has multiple. Yeah, like this one here. This is coming from the metadata. If you click on the information panel here, you'll notice that the metadata down here, you'll have, these are dealing with indexes. You'll see at where's the subjects? Well, it's in multiple collections. Right here, surface text. No, I don't know where the subjects are. I thought that it was in that metadata. But for some reason it's not. At any rate, I don't know where that metadata went. At any rate, this particular book deals with several different subjects. These are already pre-tagged by Logos when they index these. So if you're wanting to, for instance, look up, I'm going to go to this Find Books search. This is a little bit different than other search features, but I want you to think of this as you're going to search for a type of book and you're going to use the columns to search for it. Okay. So if I'm just searching for, let's say, the word pagan. Okay. You'll notice that I have, now you might wonder why I'm searching pagan. It's only because that's one of the titles. I knew it was in one of the last books that I had opened up. So you'll notice that this is searching not just in title. Okay. You get some hits. Okay. This, does 1844 have a pagan foundation? That's a personal book, actually. Along with, others that don't have it. This is Thomas Aquinas. So you might be wondering, well, why is that popping up? Okay, there's 176 results, but why is that popping up? Because it's searching in any metadata, meta field, whether it's title, whether it's a subject, whether maybe it shows up in the author, maybe it shows up in whatever it might be. Okay, so it's the most broad way of kind of looking in the meta data and the fields with regards to your library itself. If you're looking or wanting to look for just, let's say, the title, then all you need to do is whatever the column name is here, okay? And there's another way to do this, but I'm just going to show you the more difficult way before I show you the easy way, okay? Just type in the column, so title, okay, colon, and then pagan. Now we're going to find these are books that the word pagan has to show up in the actual title of the book. That doesn't necessarily mean that the subject of the book is that, okay? There's better ways of kind of doing searches, but I want you to understand this is true for any column, okay? So, for instance, if I was wanting to look up all of Frank Viola's books, okay, then all I would do is author, colon, and then let's say Viola. Okay, now I've got all of his, and notice that there is one in partnership, right? But I've got all of his books that I own anyways. These are in my library, okay? Yeah, that's an interesting, actually an interesting book. I inserted it in because it is fascinating. So you should go. Well, if you're in Discord and you want to read that particular one, let me know and I can give you access to it. By the way, it looks like they added uh, some cool features with sharing people's chats. That's cool inside of this platform. Um, so the same can be true with publishers, for example. Okay, so if if you're saying, hey, I want to look up, all the books that I have that are from, let's say Lexham. Lexham Press is a Faith Life publishing house. There's 1,400 books that I own. Some of them are Lexham Academic, some of them are Lexham Press, some of them are, I think those are the two main ones. Okay. So if I wanted to just look up Lexham Press, okay, we could search it that way, Lexham Press. But you get the idea, right? You get the main thing I want you to think of is I want you to think of the column, and then using the column colon, and then whatever you're trying to search, okay? Whatever you're wanting to search with regard to what it is that you're looking for. Now the same can be true if we're looking up, let's do this with subjects, okay? So we could do subject colon, and then I might say I don't know, Jewish law, okay? Now notice that this is going to get both Jewish and it's going to get law, okay? If you're wanting to seclude it to just Jewish law, then you need to put quotations around it and it will get Jewish law as a whole. If you're looking to do just, let's say, law, you can do that. That's going to pull in all kinds of different ones. Subject law. The my tags is a way that you can personally tag your own resources so that you can then utilize those in collections and other things later on. And then community tags, or if I tag them, those will show up in the community tags for other people to work with and deal with as well. So I'm not going to go through too much of that. Series is what it is. So if you're looking for a, let's say we'll do John Walton's series. Okay, so series Lost World. Okay, you'll see that this is a series by John Walton, along with a few others. That it's actually a great series. Okay. Brian, I don't think so. I'm not really well versed in that. If you're looking for, I think what you're referring to is the automations. Is that what you're kind of referring to? You'll have to help me out with that. If you're on a Mac, there is an actual tool that you can use that does some regex stuff. But I'm not really well versed in that particular item. Regular expression. I don't know what that is really. Can you help me out and share what that is, maybe in the chat, and then maybe I can answer what that is, or maybe how it would work on my end. You'll notice over here you can you can either clear it by like clicking and doing Control A and then delete. Or you can just click this X button. It's all good, Brian. Listen, I love it. It's all good. It's awesome. Okay, I'm glad that you're here. So no worries. Side note. So a lot of what we're doing in the find section of the library, by the way, this find books is different than this magnifying button. Okay. So it's different for different purposes. If you click the three, what I call the three magnifying or the three hamburger lines, that's going to open up kind of what's called a like a facet bar or a filter bar. And effectively what we were doing in this menu, you can do just with a click. Okay. So like for instance, if you're wanting to, and just, I want you to notice what happens in this crumb section right here. Okay. If I'm wanting to look up, let's say, subject Jesus Christ, you know that up here you would do subject, okay, colon, and then Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. So you'll notice this right here. Now, instead of doing that, if you come down here and click Jesus Christ, notice what it's going to do. It's going to automatically populate that in the crumb section. It's just kind of an automatic, so you don't have to worry about the syntax. And you can just keep clicking, okay? So you could say, hey, subject Jesus Christ, parables, okay? Now I've got 71. Let's say I want just the sermons. Okay, here are 2 books that deal with subject being Jesus Christ. They deal with his parables and they deal with sermons. Okay, so sermons on the parables. This is by William Davidson. If you want to clear this crumb, you just hit all. Okay, it'll go back to everything, and you can click away to your heart's content. A little bit to pay attention down here. If this is shrunk down, something like this, okay, on the left-hand side, you'll notice that these match the main columns in the library. So if you're looking for specific authors, or you're looking for, I haven't gone to some of these over here. Let's just click into author. There you go. I've got Ellen G. White. Okay, by the way, I use these for lots of my research. You can see that I had access to this within the last little bit. So you can even click on, let's say, subject, and then you could say, you know, some of these other items that are tagged in here. Okay, I don't want to look up any books with her. But you get the idea. Now, one thing is I haven't pointed out this fact book item, okay, because I haven't gone to the fact book and told you about the fact book. But the fact book itself is kind of like, well, for all intensive purposes, it's basically, it's the internal Google for Logos, okay? So just like you would go to, you go to Google, you'd hit search, and you'd search kind of like a subject or whatever it might be. I know that you would use maybe a little bit more sentences. I'll show you how to do that with the Study Assistant as well as the Smart AI Search. Think of the repository of Factbook is kind of tagged and allocated in a way so that it can be searched and dealt with very quickly, okay? So let's go back to kind of where we were at. Inside of the Factbook tags, you'll see things like belief systems. So, you know, if you're wanting to look through resources that deal with Eastern Orthodoxy or Islam or a specific belief system, okay, you'll see that my particular library has a considerable amount of resources on different things, okay? But you'll notice that some stuff, okay, I've only actually got like 4 books that specifically deal with Arianism, okay? When I say specifically, okay, these are directly addressing, and surprise, surprise, this is Athanasius, okay? Arians of the 4th century. So a pretty quick way to get access to some very specific things without having to just kind of search through and kind of hone through all your stuff is using this left-hand column and just kind of looking through and sorting through different things. Belief system, let's say people, okay? Hey, I want books that are on Jesus Christ, right? And then let's just say subject Jews. I don't know. There you go. So these are, a marginal Jew, rethinking the historical. This is a 4-volume set from Yale, okay, that I have not accessed. You'll notice I have not accessed these. In fact, I haven't accessed any of these, okay? I have so many books. I have read stuff from Bruce Molina. That name I do know. From here, okay? Let's just say, hey, this is great stuff. I want to look at it. I'm going to click into, let's just say volume 1 here, okay? Now it's going to open up in the wrong window, so give me just a second, okay, to get this over here, okay? Now I'm in a new panel. You'll notice up in the top, the library section here, this is a new panel that houses the actual book itself. If you click on Home in the new panel and then Contents, this is going to be like a normal index of the book itself. So you can see kind of the contents. You click through this, it's going to open it up to the book, the different parts of the book, sections, segments, all that stuff. These are dealing with other segments. I'm not going to go through this right now. This will become more helpful when we deal with the Bible. If you click search, that is what it is. Okay, so you can say, hey, I want to look for Jesus in this. Now, this is going to be pretty vague. There's 2,661 results. The big thing that you're going to realize really quickly is you'll have to learn how to be very specific about what you're searching, where you're searching, how you're searching, and why. Like what you're looking for, why you're looking for it, okay? This just is not helpful because this is almost over 2,600 results in 84 different articles in this particular book, article being a section of the book itself. This is looking for all text in the right-hand side by sentences. So if it's in a sentence and then in another, it's going to look, this is like the most broad way that you can look for this. Now, inside a book, you might say, hey, I want to look under a heading, okay? So the heading text, when I search heading text Jesus, this is going to bring up, I'll show you the first one here. If you click into this, okay, this is in a new window here. In fact, let me just do this so that we can do duplicates of this book. One thing that's really nice about Logos is that you can open up multiple iterations of anything, okay? So here I have the search on the left-hand side. Now that I have a duplicate of that book, if I click on this hyperlink, and you'll see that it turns from like an arrow to an actual finger, like with a hand, like you're going to click it, okay? When I click this, it's going to actually go to that place, and you'll see a little item tell me where it's shown up. So the real Jesus, this is a heading inside this book, and you'll see that up here. It's a heading, okay? If I click on, let's say this one over here, you'll notice this is page 167. If I click on that, it's going to go to page 167. It's going to show me where it's going to be, and it's also showing me here, this is the Jesus. The reason why this brought it up is because that was in the, remember what the search was. It was in the heading text, okay? Now, back to just real quick, okay, back to my search bar over here. You'll notice that this is 24 in the heading text by sentence. You can technically do by paragraph, okay? You can do by article. Again, this is just how refined do you want the search, okay? It doesn't mean you need this every time. I'm just showing you where certain tools are inside of it, okay? This search feature inside the resource itself is probably a little bit less utilized unless you know exactly, you're working with a specific book, you're looking for certain things in that book. I'll show you another way to do this though in a second. You'll see these little tick marks, okay? This is showing you all the search results that you've got here are these tick results right here, okay? So it's showing you where that particular thing is popping up in the actual resource itself, okay? Whether or not you want to do it just by this section, or if you're like, hey, I want to go to that particular one, you can click it and it will open it up on the right-hand side. Because I have a new one, it'll open it up in that particular one, okay? All right, so you'll see this is a kind of a filter funnel here because that's telling me it's filtered. Sometimes people have gone through this and they get frustrated because they can't figure out how to clear that particular thing. If you click on this and just hit the X here, now we're unfiltered. Okay, so now you'll notice all this stuff is no longer filtered in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to deal with notes right now. That really needs to be probably a multiple hour session because notes are, I used to use those a lot. I don't use them as much in the way that I used to. Formatting, I'm going to get to that when I get to Bibles. But basically you can tell you'll see this, page number here. You'll see these little kind of lines showing that someone has highlighted that. In fact, 9 people highlighted that particular section. All of that stuff is format related stuff. You can show it or you cannot show it. Okay. So under the emphasize, for example, if I don't want popular highlights, I can uncheck that. You'll notice that those things kind of disappeared. I tend to like that particular item because it kind of puts my eye when I'm reading something, especially if I'm reading it for my master's program or reading it quickly or skimming through. It helps me see what was important to other readers as I'm going through the text, okay, and how important, okay, because it's going to tell me, 12 other people highlighted that, okay, so, and I can read that section. You'll notice footnotes here. There's a 1. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Okay. You'll notice that 1 right there, and it popped up. If you click the 1, it's going to open in a larger window that if it's a big kind of footnote, you can scroll through to read it. Okay. So just depending on the type of book, you might have a lot of footnotes. You might not have a lot of footnotes. Here's another footnote down here. These actually look less like footnotes. These are like extra notes that they're putting in to the article itself, okay? On the application of this principle to the quest of historical Jesus, see this. Now, in this particular footnote, just so you know how this works, if I own that particular book, this will be hyperlinked here. Because I don't own this particular book, it's not going to be hyperlinked. Good example here, this particular book, well, that's not a book, that's just, that's the Loeb Classical Library. I don't own a lot of those. This is not a book where there seems to be a lot of things that I own. Let's see, down here. Well, I don't own that one either because that's a different type of, okay. Let's see if I can find, there you go, SBT, Studies in Biblical Theology. Anyways, you get kind of the idea as you're working through. A couple other things on the emphasize, okay? There are different things up here. I almost always, I mentioned this last time, I do the click rather than hover. I really don't like scrolling over and having it do that, okay, where I'm just moving around and it does that. That just is annoying to me. If you like it, great, no big deal. I prefer the click because then I can engage it when I want to. That's just me personally. By the way, guys, you're welcome to ask questions. If you have questions, theological things that you want me to show you how to answer some of those inside of the platform itself, I'm happy to respond to some of those as well. Reading plans, I'm not going to go through. You can I have to show that another time, but you can basically set up reading plans for books that you want to read and tell it how often, hey, I want to read this over 2 weeks. Can you break up this section or the entire book or whatever it might be? And then it will put together kind of a reading plan that goes on your dashboard, that you can kind of plot your course for reading. I use this for my master's program when I need to read a book by a certain time. I'll show you an example of one of those. This is one right here. I'm actually behind in it. But that's what it looks like when you click into this. I'm not going to right now. It will open up a reading a reading plan layout. Okay. With regards to the dashboard, which is this little icon in the upper left-hand corner, if you click it and unclick it, just keep clicking it, it'll take you in and then it'll bring you back out. Okay. So this is the screen that we were on. I'm going to go out of, let me see, do I want anything else? Oh, I'll show some of this. Okay. The view section. You can view the locator bar, which is this bar across here that tells you kind of where you're located. You can adjust the way in which the book is kind of laid out on the page. Some of you might like to read it with 2 columns or 3 columns or however many columns. You can do that. Let me show you how that works. I'm going to close this particular book to make it full screen. I'm going to close the content menu on the left-hand side. And then under view, if you click the paged view, and let's just say I turn this on, and if I turn it to like 2 columns or 3 columns, depending on how you like it, okay, you can adjust this. If you don't like the footnotes, you can turn those on and off as well. Some might really like this format, okay, a little bit easier for you to read. And then if you're reading something, you can go into the full screen mode, which takes off some of the top part just for reading purposes. Okay, you'll notice it's not quite as easy to see down here. You'll have like a couple of arrows in the bottom right that you can click and it will move you through. Little side note, if you're reading like this and you don't want to use your mouse to click through the actual pages, you can just hit spacebar, and it will, it should click you through, okay, just like this. If I'm hitting spacebar, it's moving through. You can also, I'm trying to think, forward or backwards. I don't know if it's control shift. I don't remember which way goes forward and backwards. Space I know goes forward. There's a shortcut for going backwards. Is it control shift? It's actually hold shift down and hit spacebar. Okay. So if you're wanting to go backwards, you'll see by the page number up there. Yes, up and down arrows as well, Adrian. That's great. Up and down as well. Left and right is different. Shift scroll, yes, shift scroll as well. See, you guys are on it. So all of these things, okay, thank you, Adrian. Up and down arrows are ways of navigating by pages. Or if you like the whole shift and scroll thing, you can do that as well. Or you can hold shift and space, okay? You can do shift and space as well, I believe. Yes, you can do shift and space. Is backwards, space is forward, okay? Okay, good stuff. What else? I don't like that view personally. I tend to have it this way, just with the regular paged view. When you're in the paged view like this, the space is going to not perform the same way. Okay, you can definitely do up and down. Okay, you can do up and down. That's just going to go line by line. Okay. Up and down because it's in a scroll function, okay? If you're using the mouse key, you know, the actual scroll on the mouse itself, that will go up and down kind of like you're scrolling through a website page, okay? So it really just depends on how you like to navigate through the book, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, okay? This plus or minus does the same exact thing as the plus or minus, control plus or minus. If you want to do it manually, you can do that as well. Tools, okay? I will give you this little bit of surprise with the tools. Let's say I'm reading, for instance, this is part 1, roots of the problem. I don't even know what this is. The real issue. Oh, it's basic concepts, the real Jesus and the historical Jesus. That's the book that we're in right now. If you go to tools and you click summarize, okay, this is one of the really nice aspects. Let me actually get out of the full screen for just a second so that you can see the right-hand side a little bit clearer. You'll see here, this is the summarize tool. This is an AI feature, okay? Let me say a little something about the AI feature. The AI feature itself is very, very different than the AI function of like ChatGPT or Gemini or something that accesses the web and content on the web. This is AI built into the program itself, and it does not, okay, it never goes out onto the web, ever. It's a huge deal, okay? So it's not going out and just pulling blog articles and ideas and website and whatever, that kind of stuff, and then giving you or trying to hallucinate on how to respond based on that information, which is what generally happens with the models that most people are using. By the way, if you don't know what a hallucination is with AI, you need to go AI it, go Google it. go research it. That's not what's going on inside of the AI function of Logos, okay? It's using the AI mechanism built into the actual Logos software to only interact with the resource or resources that you are asking it to interact with, okay? So let's go back to this particular summarization, okay? Yeah, keeps you in the watchtower. Yes, it does. Well, and you can tell it. You basically can tell it what parts of your library or books, and we'll go through that in just a second, that you want it to engage in, so that you know that it's interacting in a very specific part of your library for research purposes, okay? So if I'm not wanting to read this chapter, for example, but I want to know kind of the summarization of what it is, there is this really nice, this summarizes inside of a book, okay? This is for part 1, and I'm just going to hit summarize, okay? And it's going to read that segment, and then it's going to give me kind of, hey, a little bit of information, okay? So the text, I'm going to make this a little bit larger, okay? I'm actually going to close this down. I don't know how large I can make this. There we go. The text discusses the distinction between the real Jesus and the historical Jesus, emphasizing that the historical Jesus is a modern construct based on limited sources, primarily the 4 canonical Gospels. The author argues that while the real Jesus encompasses all aspects of his life, is ultimately unknowable, and then goes through. Now, again, this is the synopsis, okay? Now, if you like that, okay, for reading, I'm not saying you agree with this or disagree or whatever, okay? Then you could read, okay? You could read the actual, this is the entire part 1, okay? Now, you could come in here and say, hey, that's great, but I actually want to summarize a chapter, okay? Let's say part 1. I don't know if it will summarize chapter. Yeah, there we go. So you see how I selected the chapter itself. what it just summarized was it actually summarized part 1, all chapters. Now, if I want a summarization of just chapter 1, then I'm going to click on that because I've selected it over here. And now it's going to tell me just this chapter, what it's about. Okay. Again, it's using AI to help me be more efficient. Now, obviously, you always want to double check this. Okay. It's just telling you a summarization of the chapter. It's not supposed to take the place of reading it for yourself. And it's not supposed to take the place of, whether or not it accurately represents, said summary. That's really only whether or not you agree with the way it summarized it or not. Okay. It's not trying to lean towards a bent. It's not trying to, because this isn't prompt based, you're not biasing in this summarization setup. You're not biasing is that a term? The summarization, summarize this in this way. It's just saying, hey, this is what the chapter is about. Okay. I haven't tested it. I'm not sure how you would do that because you could humanly test it by reading it itself and saying, hey, did it do a good job? In order to kind of test it with another AI platform, you'd have to either download the PDF, load it in, and see how some other AI tool summarizes it. Again, for purposes of speeding up your reading on whether or not, this is the way I use it, okay? Whether or not it speaks to something that you want to read further, okay? That's all that I use it for, okay? Does this chapter provide enough information or speak to something that I want to spend my time now reading the actual chapter? That's the way I would use this, okay? I wouldn't use it to take the place of reading, okay? But it helps to speed up your research process, okay? Now, you can obviously copy this, the entire contents of this, and post it, use it for wherever. Notice down here, this is AI-generated summary. The summary is generated. Oh, can you see that? Yeah, you can. The summary as generated by AI and may include inaccurate information. There you go. Always check the original book before relying on machine-generated summaries. So, there you go. It's not designed to do the work for you, but it does do a lot of the heavy lifting, okay? Okay, so let's see. That is under the tools section. You can have it read aloud, okay? The read aloud function, there's just a basic reading kind of platform. If it's got an audio narrator that's built into the book because there's an audio book that's attached to it, then that narrator will be actually underneath here that you can select. You can also make a reading plan, print and export, things of that nature. The share function, I'm not going to go over. That gets utilized in other segments. I think that's a little bit more advanced for what it is that I'm wanting to show today. Okay. Now, so here we're back at the library. Okay. This is where we found this book. And since we were going over some of the AI related items, I want to look at the two other places that you can use AI to help speed up your quickness of understanding what's going on in the text. Now, again, we're going to be doing an entire AI segment with the partnership of some other people inside of the Discord group to help educate people on, how to properly use AI and what to be leery of, what to test, like what to be aware of, how to use prompts, things of that nature. I'm going to do just surface level for this on this kind of structure. We did enough of the library to help you understand kind of how to click through right? Clear the Chrome channel. You can obviously click through here. The searching inside the library is not the best way. I would say it's not the best way to find resources that you're kind of using for research purposes. It is a fast way if you already know the name of the book or the author or the whatever it is, and so you're looking kind of from that perspective. I go to the library, I search, let's say, hey, I want to look up, all of Dr. Heiser's books, for example. Well, I just go author and then Heiser, okay? And here we have 108 different resources that are attached to Heiser. Or author, let's say, Sailhammer. Do I have Sailhammer? Yeah, Sailhammer, okay? Here's, books by Sailhammer. It's just, again, it's an easy, quick way to, if you already know what you're looking for, you can find them in your library pretty quickly, or if you know its subject, or that's the purpose of the search feature inside of the library itself, okay? All right, so how would you find words that are used in the same context to drive its meaning? Sabbath, Shabbat, or however you spell it. Yeah, so this is getting into a little bit deeper. You would not use the library for something like this, okay? If you're looking for, and then the follow-up to that is, or even find the books that provide commentary on the context. So this is going to be way more helpful in doing like good research for a particular subject, okay? There's a couple of different angles that you can come at this, okay? Probably the easiest or the quickest way, okay, is going to be, well, before I go there, let me do this. You should see, I'm going to open this. Can I open this here? Yeah. So this little chat with a magnifying glass is the study assistant that utilizes AI. It's like a chatting feature that you can utilize to talk to your resources. Again, remember, none of this goes out to the web and engages with, it's inclusive, okay, which is really, really helpful. I am running on my machine, just so you know, I'm running a beta version. So there are going to be some features in the study assistant that you may not have if you have one of the more stable versions. I'm part of the beta program to help provide feedback to some of the features that they're coming out with. But they are moving in a direction to where you're going to be able to tell the chat feature what collections and books you want to work with, okay? I believe right now the only main ones that it gives you is all books, your books. Maybe it'll give you some additional collections, okay? I'm going to go to the full screen so that you can see any of these pop-ups over here. But this is the direction it's going, okay? So think about it this way. When you're performing a search, okay, you may not really want to look at all your books for something, because if you're performing a chat and a response back, for the most part in a setup like that, it's gonna sort through a bunch of information, and then it's only gonna give you 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of responses or resources back. And right now you don't have any way to categorize or prioritize in the chat which ones it's going to first. There is a way to prioritize books in your library, but inside the chat, there's no real way, if you're using all books, to say, hey, provide the context for Shabbat, for example, in Genesis, okay, or in Genesis, the creation account. Well, it's going to look through all your books if you have all books selected, versus creating a subset of books that specialize in the topic that then you're searching through, okay? But this is a good place to start, okay? So let's go to the study assistant, okay? I'm going to open this here. Why is it not? Oh, I know why. It's because, give me a second, guys. All right, there we go. So we can start the conversation. Okay, for instance, Brian, you mentioned, how would I find words that are used in the same context to drive its meaning? Example being Sabbath. Okay. Think of the question. Now you can start with just that exact question. Okay. You can do all books and say, how would I find words that are used in the same context to drive the meaning of another word? And then I would say, for example, look at Sabbath. Okay. Now, this is looking at all of my books, and it's going to try to formulate a response to that particular question, of which I can then continue the conversation around, okay? To find words that function together to establish meaning, you'd employ contextual analysis. I've talked about that actually, okay? Examining how surrounding language shapes what a particular word conveys. Context narrows down your interpretive, points you towards the intended meaning. Now, here's the difference with this AI. It's not just giving you its own idea, okay? It's telling you this based on a book, okay? And this, you'll see how it highlights there, okay? That phrase, context narrows down your interpretive option and points you toward the intended meaning, is a direct reference to a book. Now, you'll notice, you can't see it on this particular screen, okay? I don't own that particular book. In fact, let's just, let's do this. Let's go to full screen, okay? And I'm going to dock this tab, okay? All right. So you should be able to see now. You'll notice that I don't own this book, okay? Now I can buy it, okay? Logos has set it up pretty easily for you to be able to buy pretty much anything you want, okay, inside of it by clicking that button. I'm not going to do that. But I still get the benefit, okay? Remember, this is for all books, not just books I own. This is all books. And when I say all books, it's Logos has something like 280,000 books or something like that, okay? So I'm getting the benefit, even though I don't own the book, I'm getting the benefit of some information from that book, knowing that at least it's giving me good, it may not be something I agree with, but it's at least giving me information from books rather than just randomly kind of making up stuff, okay? Yeah, well, you know, Adrian, to your point, it's a really smart move by Logos, okay? Because if someone's got the means and they find it, like, it's really easy to buy it and have it added into your library. So it's a super smart marketing move for Logos. Here's the practical approach, okay? Now, I can make this larger, okay, up at the top. If need be, okay. So I'm going to leave it this way so that you can kind of, my image isn't being covered up with any of the text, or the text isn't being hidden. So start with your immediate linguistic environment. Look at the other words and phrases associated with your target word in the sentence, paragraph, section, and even entire book. Now, where is this coming from? Okay. This is coming from a book that I actually own, okay? So once I read through this, if I want to study this further, this is coming from a handbook on Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, okay? Yes, I am on the beta version. Yes. So I mentioned that earlier. Some of the stuff down here, some of the stuff down here, you may not yet see this. Just know that it's coming, okay? They're working on making sure it's a stable version before they release it. But if you own the subscription, any updates that you get, I mean, they're going to come down the pipeline. But just pay attention. This is coming down the pipeline. They'll get this out reasonably soon. And I'm excited because they're building this out to be able to hone in with your chat feature on specific collections, authors, like any kind of subset that you want in your research to hone in on. It's such a powerful tool, okay? And I'm going to show you how this changes depending on how you set up the resources it's looking at, okay? So again, this is just a response. I don't know what books it's going to give me. I don't know where it's going to pull from. It's just going to give me some sort of a response, and it's going to give me the books, okay? This is a research tool, because if I like something, I want to go look, okay? I can't go look at this because I don't own this one, okay? But I can look at this particular one, and I can go see right here is the actual phrase from the book. Now, context is that which I'm going to, okay, make this a little bit larger, okay? In this particular handbook, this is a handbook by Paul Ellingsworth, okay? UBS, by the way, that's a really good series. The UBS, United Bible Society, is a fabulous, it's a translation society, okay? This is under the phrase entry construction, and it says context is that which precedes and or follows any part of a discourse. For example, and then this is the section that was inserted into. Now, you may not think it fits per se with the overall question, okay? But it's kind of, you see how kind of the resources are being added in to give you a response that you can then research it further, okay? Now, notice we asked specifically with regards to, for example, look at Sabbath. So here's what it says. It says for Sabbath, you'd identify companion terms, words like rest, ceasing, holy commandment, labor, covenant, that appear alongside it. There's an interdependence within words in a context, and the interrelation of words, grammar, and structures of extended discourse helps clarify ambiguity. Now, this is again coming from a book that I don't own, okay? Now, I should not be surprised by this because I've told it to search all of Logos's books, okay? The widest range. Again, I've said this multiple times. I don't have a way in this search to tell it. I don't know what it's going to go find and where it's going to pull things from, okay? Because it's the widest search out there. Recognizing that meanings emerge from the whole unit, not individual words. Word contexts have meanings that are not just the sum of the parts. This is another pulling from that same resource right down here. It's only pulling from 3 books, okay? Of which the third book is down at the bottom. I do own this particular one, okay? This is the Handbook of the Bible Study with a guide to the Schofield study system, okay? So you get the idea. Now, copy and paste that to ADL. Oh, no, ADL doesn't know how to study this way. I would love for ADL to start using Logos. That would be great. Now, this was with all of the books. If you click on all books, and you'll notice you would have in the stable version, it'll say all books in your books, I believe. Okay, those are the only 2 real options. If you click on your books, now you can do one of 2 things. You could basically say, can you perform the last request using set of resources. Okay. Now you can talk to it like that. Okay. If you want, and it should be smart enough to do this. Yeah. So here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with being a part of the beta channel. Okay. Just know that I have had to, it has locked up before. I've had to uninstall, reinstall. Like, again, it's not a stable version. If you like getting all the kind of first out things, if you like that, then great. I would say do it. If you have the only downside is if you have a really large library like myself, okay, the main downside is going to be that if you do have to reinstall for some reason, it's going to take a long time to index your library, okay? But other than that, I say go for it if you like it. If you like to be on the cutting edge, okay? I say go for it. Now, this is the way it now responded. Sorry, Brian, I was looking at your comments. So I asked it to perform the same thing, but all it did now is it pulled from one resource, okay? I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to take this same question, okay? I'm going to click new. Now all I did was highlight that, Control C. I'm going to click new, okay? And now I'm going to ask it, okay, again, the same question. But I'm gonna see if this is a little bit different when I perform the same question without asking it to just do the last thing. I'm gonna see if this is, again, if it does the same. Now notice, okay, this is doing a little bit different. So this pulled in an additional resource. These are really the only two resources that it pulled from my entire library, okay? Now, here's what I would do in a follow-up for this, okay? If you were studying Sabbath, for example, okay, you can continue the conversation by just saying, notice I've changed this to my books, okay, just my books. You might say, what is the linguistic context of the Hebrew word for Sabbath in the creation account? Okay, so notice I went from a broad question that was asked to, hey, you know what? I want to study this particular idea, and I'm going to ask it a very specific question. Now, it's doing all my books, okay? I don't like doing that. In fact, I'm going to do something different. Well, no, I'll do that one. I'll do that one for now. Okay. Let me do that one for now, and I'll show you why I was questioning in just a second. Okay. So as it's performing, yeah. So I can very easily, yeah, Brian, you can create resource collection sets that then you can ask it based on certain resources, you know, whether it's resources that an author suggested or whether it's, you know, a particular author. What did this author say on this particular topic? Again, you can use this. The sky's the limit. Okay. It's a fabulous resource tool. Okay. Now, this was the very specific question with regards to Sabbath in the context of the creation account. And the response here gave me 3 resources, okay? The origin of the Sabbath. Surprise, surprise. This is, if you don't know, this is actually an Adventist resource. This is where I was hesitant to do this. I'll show you why in just a second. And notice that this also is a Adventist resource. So here's what you got to understand. Depending on the resources that you have, doing it in this way, just look for all your resources. You're not controlling what resources or how it's performing the search. You're just asking it a question, and then it's telling you information, and it's using resources in your library to answer your questions so that they're backed by resources. But because I didn't yet define what I wanted it to look in with specificity, I'm getting potential resources that I'm like, I don't really want those resources. Or, okay, that's maybe the Adventist perspective on this question. How would I then ask the question so that I'm not getting the Adventist perspective so that I can critique that perspective? Okay. This one is not an Adventist resource. This is the Faith Life Study Bible. So you can kind of read through, okay? The linguistic connection surrounding Sabbath reveals its meaning through careful construction, repeated and deliberate wordplay. This is coming from, just like we did before, if you click on that link, this is coming from the Sabbath in the Old Testament and the intertestamental period, implications for Christians in the 21st century. It is by, okay, again, go to the information in the book, okay, scroll down and look at, okay, who's the publisher? Who is the publisher for this particular book? Well, where is the publisher? Right here. Copyright Biblical Research Institute General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. So if I'm doing this, I need to know how to make sure I understand, okay, how to understand the information that's coming or being given to me. So, Javon, it's a good question. Here's my perspective. Logos works incredibly well the more books you have. Because, think of it this way, if you had a massive library, like I have, I think 32,000 books, there's no physical way that I'd be able to open up each book and search through and do whatever I need to in them. Nor would I know which books I need to go look for to do the research, okay? The larger the library, the cooler and the more effective the tools that you have inside of Logos, because it's performing those tools on a larger database. So it becomes really effective for you to get access to information in books or tools that use information in those books that you would know, there's no way you would ever do before, okay? Now, back to this particular topic, okay? I've already recognized that because I'm actually, and surprise, surprise, you'll notice if you do some digital research, the Adventist Church has probably the most information with regards to Sabbath-related items because they're fixated on it, okay? So that's good. They've done research, right? So you can read that research. But there's a lot of other research out there that is great research that can counter or at least give you a different perspective. So here's how I would perform this, okay? I would click on now again, you're not going to have this yet. You'll have it in the upcoming editions, okay? For me, I've already created a collection that takes out my Adventist books, okay? So all resources, I didn't spell that right. All resources minus Adventist resources, okay? So this is gonna now perform the question, okay? Now I'm gonna actually ask it can you perform the same prompt but with the new set of resources? Okay. So now it shouldn't pull, okay? Well, it didn't like that. So let me just do this. Let me just edit this particular one. So you can click the edit button up here. And then hit the search again. And let me just ask the same question, okay? Down here with a different set. Okay. So you'll notice that some of the features that you would normally have in an AI feature are not as accessible because they basically have tried to, man, when it's running this AI, my video is very jumpy. Okay. These two items. All right. We're going to perform it differently. It's still pulled. I didn't have a great resource because it pulled from those particular items. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to, I know that I have a collection set, okay, on, here we go. I'm going to have it perform on this collection set. Okay. Same question. And then we'll look at how some of these are a little bit different. So you'll notice in this first response, it gave me three items. In the second one, it took out 2 of the books. It kept one here that was Adventist, but it did give me another particular book, Sabbath as Rest. Okay. This is by Guy Predis Waters. Okay. 2022. So part of the reason this is valuable is it helps you find books that talk about subjects and things in that particular book. So for instance, this is a book that I don't know that I've actually opened, okay, that I wouldn't normally have paid attention to, but here is, first it is clear that the work of creation is complete. It is not a day of work, but rest, okay? Though the word Sabbath does not appear here, a related word does, the Hebrew verb rested, okay? There's the transliteration of it. Actually, this is the, you'll see some translated Sabbath, okay? In the second place, God made the 7th day. This is the first time in Genesis that God is said to have made something, to make something holy, and it means that this 7th day was deemed different from the other 6 days. What distinguishes the holy 7th day is that it is set apart for purposes of worship. Now, where is he getting that from? Okay, again, part of your research. I don't know anything about this guy per se. Okay, I always like to do this. This is part of a series. I'm just going to see who is it published by. Copyright. It's published by himself, it looks like. I don't see a publisher. Okay. By the way, these right here are tags that you could click on and it would actually open up. That's the ontological, cultural ontology tag inside of Factbook. Anyways, let's go back to this resource. I'm going to close that one. Close this one. Okay. Let me see here. Do you think Logos is better with AI? Yes, I do. I think it's way better, but I think you have to know how to use it. It's better for research. Okay. Brown, good to have you. I will get to that. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. That's great. A great question. So here, again, it's highlighting. You'll see it's highlighted in blue because these blue sections are what is pulled up in these two items right here. Okay, so though the word Sabbath does not appear in the text, notice that comes explicitly from right here. Does not appear from the text. So understand that it's not making up its own thing. Okay, it's taking information from a resource, putting it together in a response so that you can then use that to go research and dig in deeper into a conversation. Okay. Now that was the second question. That was, I think I used I don't remember what category I used. This is set up for anything that has Sabbath. Okay. This pulls back in the same three items here. Okay. Which isn't super helpful. Okay. But those are pulling up 3 books again. Okay. If you're wanting to see, for instance, what M. Brown mentioned, okay, Jewish rabbinic perspectives, okay, you should. So now again, side caveat, okay, those of you that are newer to Logos, you may not yet have collection resources created. If you want to know how to set up some of those collection resources, what that even is, it's basically personalizing and segmenting out collections so that they can be utilized for searching and different things inside of Logos. I'm not going to go through that today, but all of these down here are my own collections. Okay, you're going to see I have a ton of them. Okay, I should have so traditions of the rabbis from the era of the New Testament. Notice that there's couple of different series. I don't think I have do I have a collection set? I don't know that I do that's tied to that. All right, so here's Jewish and Judaism. That may or may not have, we can just see what it does, okay? I don't know what it's going to say for this, and I don't even know what books it's pulling from, okay? Jewish and Judaism. Now, while that's populating, okay. That is not changing. That's interesting because that's not actually changing this data set. So they may not have this figured out entirely yet, which is, again, I'm a part of the beta program on this. That's not populating properly. So that might be something that they're working on. I don't know why that's not properly populating. Here's what I would say, okay? If you let's go back and do a brand new search, okay? All books. And I'm just going to say can you help me understand the Jewish perspective, interpretation of the Sabbath, with regards to the creation account? Yeah, that is possible, Brian. You might be right. I don't know that you can change it. I'm gonna see if you're right on that in just a second. Okay. So here's new search. I'm gonna actually change this to a different data set here. Let's see if this gives us different resources. You can tell it's pulling some resource information from my laptop that I'm using. because the video streams a little bit. Okay, so this is giving me. Okay, so this is way better. Okay, so now we've got Jewish interpretation of the Sabbath centers on its intimate connection to God's creative work in Genesis. The foundational link appears in the Ten Commandments themselves, which mirror the creation narrative. God labored for 6 days, but rested on the seventh, establishing a divine pattern that humans are commanded to follow. Now, this, again, remember, I want to encourage you guys, do not take this type of tool as it's telling you the theology you believe. It's doing research for you, okay? All right? So this is the book, okay? This is Brad H. Young. This is 2011. Again, we can click into these. This is from a book called Jesus, the Jewish Theologian, okay? And all of these highlighted segments are the segments that are pulled together in the response that's given. Notice next to the 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then there's 2 segments that are under the second one, okay? Ronald Eisenberg, and then also Singer, okay? This is Isidore Singer. Now, I don't know if Singer is the singer that is on YouTube or connected to the singer on YouTube. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, someone definitely has broken the cap locks. So again, this is helpful because it's giving you, based on the resources here, okay, it's giving you resources from that collection set. Now, let me show you what collection set this actually is, okay? Let me go to full screen. And up here in the tool set here, if you type in collection, okay, this is where you actually create all of your collections, okay? This is just an unnamed, it has nothing in it. But notice that if I go to this Jewish one right here, okay, this has about 693 books. These are all of the books that are in it. It's sorted by publisher. I'm going to unsort that, okay? So these are all of the resources that said response, or that I was actually looking at, okay? Yeah, Rose, just go somewhere else if you're going to respond that way. It irritates me when people make those kind of comments. So this is, and again, I don't have the time right now to talk about how to build these actual collection sets out, but you'll have, there's again, 32,000 books. Okay. But now I'm searching within just shy of 700, and those 700 are connected to, they either have the subject, you'll see in the collection set here, subject Jewish, Jews, Judaism, or in the subject is Jew, Rabbi, and then it has addition as well. So that's again, it's really helpful to hone in on what it is that you're trying to search for with regards to the topic that you're researching, okay? Now, let's do this. Let's perform, now that we know this, okay? I'm going to go back to, this is the recent questions. I'm going to actually grab this question, okay? Just to test what Brian was saying, okay? I'm going to go back to my previous search over here, okay? And now I'm going to ask that same question, now that I've already got the Jewish and Judaism data set pulled up, and see if I get a different response than the previous one, okay? Now, I have a feeling it is going to be different. Oh, it's definitely different. Excellent. Why is this coming in? I have a funny sneaking suspicion, okay? I don't know why that other is coming in. I did get one in here. Inner Biblical Interpretations by let's see, Zakovich, that you could research, okay? Etymologies may be covert. The name given the seventh day does not appear in the story of the creation that speaks of its distinct status. That said, the name clearly interpreted there. Let me make this bigger for you all. And I'm actually going to shift this differently. Of its distinct status. That said, the name is clearly interpreted here, and he ceased on the seventh day from all the work that he had done. God bless the seventh day. So again, part of this is you're able to see that you're at least getting access to books that you wouldn't normally get access to in performing the research. It's just another way of getting into the text itself, or getting into books to help you do the research that you're looking to perform. Okay. One other feature, this copy link, okay, that is designed to send to someone else, and if they have Logos, they can see the questions that you asked, all of that. Okay, so that's kind of the purpose of that feature up there. I think I've shown you enough of the study assistant. If you were wanting to perform this one additional way, I'm going to show you another way to get access to this, okay? And it's not the true study assistant, okay? Yeah, I don't think that you can select. That's interesting. I don't think that you can select the actual model. At least I don't know. I'm not sure where you would do that, because there's no real. I'm not sure if they determine that, or I'm not sure what. So that would be a interesting question. Oh, okay. So they use different models for different tasks. Okay, good to know. That does make sense. If you go to the search button up at the top, okay, this is a little bit different. This is what we were in was a specific tool in and of itself. Okay, the study assistant is its own tool. The search is a entirely different tool that I'll have to do an entirely different training on. Okay, but I want you to see a way that you can access the Smart AI inside the search feature that's a little bit different, okay? So if you click on books, so you can search in different areas, okay? All is literally all tools and resources, okay? I don't use that very much. Bible is searching just inside of the Bible itself. The search engine, this is the closest thing that I would say for the different models that you're talking about, but this is where you would identify if you want smart, AI to do specific things in the Bible. So for example, if you were wanting to say, hey, where in the Bible is the remnant church discussed, remnant people of God discussed. I'm going to do it that way, okay? Excellent. Dexter, thank you for posting that. That's great. Okay. Learn how it uses stuff. So that's great. That's absolutely wonderful. Okay. So here's what's happening inside of this separate. So this is, again, you're using search as AI only in the Bible. Okay, so here's what it's going to do. It's basically going to search for and tell you, okay, this is a synopsis, and it's doing this inside the NRSVU. Okay, the concept of God's faithful remnant appears throughout Scripture, particularly in the prophetic books and Paul's letter. Now, if you didn't know this, okay, maybe you only thought of this in regards to. Thank you, Dexter. Appreciate that. Brian, thank you. Appreciate you tons. Love that you're here. So here we have, for instance, I like this a lot, okay, because I personally can't remember where everything is located in Scripture. Maybe some of you guys got a better brain than me in that regard, okay? So asking it to locate things from the Scripture standpoint, then clicking into these things, okay? And I'll put this side by side, okay? So notice that now, okay, the Old Testament passages establish the foundational idea. Isaiah describes a future moment. Now notice, okay, it's giving you some context. Now, I'm not saying you to buy the context, but, okay, it's giving you some context that deals with the question that you asked. Now, again, you know how big I am on context. I am not asking you to take AI as proper context, but it's at least giving you locations and then telling you a little bit about the context, okay? You need to learn how to use Logos to make sure that you understand the context if the context is accurately portrayed, which I will continue to teach on as we go through a lot of this, okay? Yeah, so Javon, I don't know if you're in the Discord chat or not, but if you aren't in the Discord chat, I would encourage you to join our Discord channel. I'm happy to help you with that. Here's the thing. If for some reason you join the beta channel, okay, and you don't like it or it freezes up, like, you can always go back, okay? The worst, you're never going to lose anything, okay? The worst thing that will happen is you'll have to do a fresh download, a fresh install, and a fresh index. Not a big deal because it's all stored in the cloud anyway. So all of your stuff that you have, all your settings, all the stuff that's tied to you, you're never going to lose that. Okay. Even if you use the beta and then somehow you break it, which I've done before. And the only way you can get back into, in fact, I did that about a month ago. I was in the beta version and it just broke. I couldn't open it. Okay. So what did I have to do? I uninstalled it, downloaded a fresh version, reinstalled it, and that's about it. Okay. Brian, yes, sometimes it does. I've never had any issues, but yes, you're absolutely right. There are times at which that even can be a problem. But I listen, I've been using this for 11 years. I've not lost any of my data. So that's not that means I can't in the future. Okay. Back to the story at hand here. This is giving you access. Old Testament. Again, Isaiah describes a future moment when Israel's survivors, okay, will turn from their oppressors to trust in the Lord, with a portion of Jacob's descendants returning to God. So I asked it about the remnant people of God. Interestingly, in the Old Testament, it doesn't say that it's going to be the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Maybe AI hasn't learned that yet. Ha, ha, ha. Okay. Then we have the next one, Zephaniah. Okay, look at that. Remnant of Israel. Okay. New Testament application interprets these prophecies through the lens of Paul's theology. Yeah, I know. Apparently, there's been enough Adventists that have trained ChatGPT on Adventist theology that it goes and utilizes that as truth. All the more reason not to use those platforms to theologize. So Zephaniah, Isaiah 37 is another place where we get this remnant idea. Jerusalem, a remnant shall go out and from Mount Zion. Then we get into Romans 11, okay, asserts that God has not rejected Israel. And Paul argues that because just as God preserved 7,000 faithful people through Elijah's time, a remnant chosen by grace exists in his own era. Here we have only a remnant would be saved, Romans 9. The remnant concept thus functions across Scripture as a theological assertion. So you can continue this in the study assistant. Okay, so if we click this, it's going to open the study assistant, and then you can continue to ask questions. Because one of the things you've got to notice up here is you can't continue the discussion inside the smart questions in the search feature. If you want to continue that, you click the continue in study assistant. That then opens up your conversation, to which now, notice it segmented it to the NRSV, that you can then have the continued conversation, okay? All right. I'm going to go back to this search over here. Notice that I performed it in the Bible, okay? You can do the same thing in books, okay? So this is really, really helpful, okay? If you're this was a book I was kind of doing some research on, Introduction to Biblical Interpretation, okay? Let's say you're using a specific book and you want to ask, like, where can I find, okay, where does the author, or let's do it this way, does the author discuss the concept of proof texting? Okay. So now again, here's what I'm doing. I'm using Smart Search, but I'm doing it in the book feature for a specific book. So now I'm searching only in that one book. Okay. That's it. It's not looking at anything else. It's just that one book. Okay. Here's the synopsis. Yes, the author does discuss it. Now notice this. I can click and I can go read in the book. Guys, this is incredibly powerful because it's saving me the time of having to read the entire book in order to do research. Okay? So yes, it does. Okay, this interpretive error occurs frequently and is often unintentionally reinforced by Bible memory systems that prioritize individual verses. Now, this is from his book, okay? The author identifies the core problem. While readers who engage in proof texting do recognize complete sentences as meaningful units, they frequently overlook the broader context that significantly constrain how the passage should be applied. That comes from this section right here, okay? All of this section right here is where this is coming from. They illustrate this with Jeremiah 29:11, okay? Let's go to Jeremiah 29:11. Y'all probably know this one. This is lesson 101 on proof texting. Again, just showing you, okay, I'm going to go through this, but I want to show you. We're now taking this search feature, okay, this AI search feature, and applying it to a specific book to better research that particular book, and then we can broaden that out into more books and more research if we want to, using the tools, okay? Incredibly powerful, guys. This is, in my opinion, how you use AI to do good research, okay? I can't kind of vouch for AI out in the world. I use it, okay? But I can't vouch for it. By the way, I just said prue texting. I just noticed that. It at least noticed that I can't spell. While I use AI outside of Logos, I don't use AI outside of Logos like this, okay? This is very unique for research. It's very unique for honing in on peer-reviewed content, making sure that you're looking where it's sourced, whether or not you're doing it with a specific Bible or authors or journals or whatever it might be, okay? Poo texting. Sorry, man. That's exactly what it is it's poo texting. That's what it is. So they illustrate this with Jeremiah 29:11. Okay, a verse commonly quoted as general encouragement to troubled believers, though some people recognize that this text appears within God's promise to restore his people after exile. It is still quoted far too often as a catch-all phrase for encouragement. Again, that's from the resource that we were looking at. The author also demonstrates how proof texting operates when readers lack historical, cultural awareness. Here's an example. Sons are indeed a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb, a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the sons of one's youth. Happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. He shall not be put to shame. Now, this is a popular wedding, okay? Wedding ceremonies. Partly because Christian couples interpret it as God's commanding them to have large families. Now, this is all in. Okay, if you click on that one, it's going to take you right here. This is literally a part of the book itself, okay? So you're not just getting, AI is just making this up. And this is the difference. I want you all to understand this, that this is giving you authorial response, actual cited responses to the questions. That doesn't make it right, okay? But it does give you where it's found, and you can read the book if you want to know what the author is trying to say, okay? And they go through context, okay? The author's broader point is that accurate interpretation requires attention to literary and historical context, not isolating verses. Proof texting represents a failure to do this work, even when readers engage with complete sentences rather than fragmentary phrases. Now, I did a search, okay? You'll notice down here some of my searches. Proof. I did some on proof texting, okay? All right, proof texting resources. So here was the search. This is in the study assistant, okay? I'm looking for specific resources that discuss the pros and cons of the proof texting method of interpretation. Man, I got hiccups. Okay? Now, why would I ask something like this? This is part of the way Mike does research. Okay? I want the resources so that I can then go look at the resources, formulate my own kind of idea based on good resources that then I put together in my content that I put on YouTube, so that you guys know that my content that I'm putting on YouTube isn't just Mike Colburn kind of just winging it and dinging it and whatever, like whatever he says, whatever happens. This is research that's coming from good academic sourced material, okay? It's from research. I don't know why Adventists have such a hard time with figuring out this stuff and why they need to be a little bit better at this. Here's the case, okay? Proof texting prioritizes practical, let me make this bigger, okay? Practical application for searching scripture passages that support a predetermined pastoral position or theme. Again, where is this found? This is in actually one of the resources that I have been utilizing, okay? Yeah, it's probably lagging. Here's what happens is anytime, I don't know if it's lagging horribly, but anytime I use an AI feature, it takes a considerable amount of laptop resources. And I don't know, again, I'm just going to need to upgrade. By the way, if y'all want to help the if you, here's a shameless plug. If you want to help the ministry, okay, and I do need things like better laptop and, you know, funding for my master's program, all that stuff. Go support the channel, okay? Subscribe to the channel. Donate on the website, okay? I appreciate that, Dexter. This is me included, okay? I'm constantly trying to check myself on how am I approaching this? Can I approach it better? How do I study this better? What am I missing, okay? All of that is what I'm trying to communicate in my conversations, for example, with Abraham AI, or whatever his Adventist AI Abe, and ADL, and Kevin Morgan, and we've got to do a better job, okay, of making sure that we're staying properly citing and researching topics, okay? So you can see, I mean, I've already found a great resource that, notice right over here in the side menu, by the way, if you saw the article, Monday article, this is one of the authors that we referenced, E.D. Hirsch Jr. But notice that this goes through, here's the table of contents, okay? The search for meaning, the initial directions, okay? I think this is hilarious because this particular author calls these three guys the new Humpty Dumptys. I think this is awesome. So at any rate, but notice that we're getting like 4 models. We've got the proof texting method, and he's going to go through this method. He's going to explain it. Okay. So some of you have been asking, what is the proof texting method? Well, based on this author, and this is, by the way, these are 2 extremely well-known scholars. Okay. I met Silva Moises at Moises Silva. I met him at SBL conference. I've not met Walter Kaiser, but these are all well-known scholars. This is like standard textbook related, standard text for understanding how this works. Okay. So here's the short synopsis for proof texting. You want to know what proof texting is? Okay. Here is this is standard academic text, classroom related text for teaching what it is. Okay. I've heard lots of Adventists claim what it is. This is and we're going to compare it with some other people and what they think it is. Okay. The proof texting approach to understanding the Bible's meaning emphasizes the practical and pastoral side of life. Typically, a biblical meaning is needed for some real-life purpose, and the interpreter then goes searching for some scriptural texts that support the topical theme or pastoral position or desire. The scriptural texts are valued more than for their short epigrammatic use use of several key words that coincide with the topic or contemporary subject chosen than for the evidence that they actually bring from their own context. This method, insofar as it ignores context, is completely inadequate. Now, pause, okay? I need to explain this. If a person actually deals with the context, okay, in its context properly, then you can use this method. The problem is, and you see it on ADL, you see it all across the board, they go to a passage, they don't discuss the context, and they apply it with a predetermined topic, okay? For instance, when I was on ADL and we talked about the law, for example, And I was talking about you cannot separate and segment the laws based on a Jewish perspective, okay? An Old Testament, like Moses would not have separated it. The Hebrews would not have separated it. They saw it as a unified group of laws, all of them, the whole thing, the Torah, everything is one law, okay? They immediately went to the New Testament and went to a section in the New Testament to try to then prove their predetermined construct. That's proof texting, okay? Going to a section with a preconceived idea about the passage and then reading that passage with that presupposition on the text, okay? It ignores the context. Now, if you were to go to a passage, Ephesians, Romans, James, and you were to say, hey, what does this author say? And do they talk about the topic that we're talking about? Let's see what the topic is that comes up. Let's see what gets discussed. And in the light of seeing what in context gets discussed, you find that the author sheds some light on the topic in its own context. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the presupposition that's being placed on it. It's the ignoring of context, okay? Let's get back to the reading this real quick, okay? At its worst, it tends to treat the Bible as if it contains secret codes or as an anthology of sayings for different occasions. Individual texts, however, belong to larger units and address specific situations, coming out of historical purposes for which they were written and context for which they now are relevant. The proof text model often relies on a naive reading of the text. It may disagree or disregard the purpose for which the text was written, the historical conditioning in which it is set, and the genre conventions that shape it. Consequently, this method is vulnerable to allegorization, psychologization, I don't know how to say that word, spiritualization, which happens a lot in the Adventist world, okay, and other forms of quick and easy adjustments of scriptural words to say that one wishes what one wishes them to say in the contemporary scene, ignoring their intended purpose and usage as determined by context, grammar, and historical background. What is forfeited in this method is any divine authority for which is taught, for what is taught. Now, that's exactly what happened, Brian. Thank you for bringing it up. That's exactly what happened in my interaction with Abraham when he came on the channel, the last live Q&A, to try to prove in Jeremiah that God's an investigator. Okay? And what happened, and I want you to see this based on the method that we're talking about. Proof texting takes a preconceived idea, supplants it on the text, and notice that Abraham never went and read any of the and this is usually what happens when I engage in any Adventist, okay? They'll say, well, you can read the context. Well, then let's read the context. But that's a knee-jerk reaction to basically deflect the heavy work. Because if you do the heavy work, what'll happen is you'll more than likely find that the context, the historical background, the linguistic background, all the other things are more than likely going to negate the very thing that they tried to go to that text for. Jeremiah is not trying to teach that God's an investigator. That's not the intent of the text, okay? Now, back to this, again, study assistant, you'll notice that these are 5 books that I could then go look at. Surprise, surprise, look here. I want you to read this one, proof texting. This came up in the proof texting question, okay? Let's see what this says. A brief history of Adventist hermeneutics, okay? We have looked at two criticisms, one involving Scottish common sense, realism. A third criticism, pejoratively, proof texting means basing a doctrine on a Bible verse or Bible verses in reckless disregard of context. But if by the term we mean, now notice, okay, this is in one sentence, this is what we just read in a classroom textbook. But notice now in an Adventist, this is a journal actually, JATS is the Journal of Adventist Theological Society, okay? And this is from 1993. But if by the term, so here's a redefinition. If we mean, okay, if by the term proof texting we mean going through the Bible and sensibly and wisely collecting together all of its statements in a particular theme. How many of you saw in the chats this exact thing being stated? This is exactly what Adventists think is okay with proof texting. Well, all I'm doing is collecting all these things, okay? So if by the term we mean this, well, then we can use it, okay? And if when we get through, we have an accumulation of texts that justifiably prove a particular Bible truth, we've done nothing wrong. Now, this is a load of hogwash, okay? This is the crap that happens inside the, and again, I saw it, I've seen it multiple times. I've seen individuals claim, well, Mike, all we're doing is we're just going through and collecting all the subjects that are talked about. That's okay. It's just proof texting. There's nothing wrong with that. No, there actually is something wrong with it. There is that's a horrible way to deal with it. Now, surprise, surprise. Okay, let me give some background. This is an Adventist journal. Notice that this is not published in a non-Adventist journal. This is an Adventist journal preaching to the choir. They all think that this is okay. Even Adventist scholars apparently think this is okay. This is not okay. We know this is not okay. We already saw other scholars being concerned about this because people are not going and looking at the context. Okay. Again, if you kept it in context, there's a difference between proof texting and the interconnectivity of Scripture or intertextual connection of Scripture, the way certain texts kind of interlink, okay? What else is it saying here? Personally, this guy says, I choose not to be intimidated out of the appropriate use of proof text. At the same time, we recognize that there is an illegitimate, out-of-context use of so-called proof texting. Even Millerite preachers. They're talking about Millerite preachers. The genuine out-of-context proof texting appears even today as an unconscious hermeneutic principle in some controversial teachings. Now, here we go. Then they're going to give some citation for it. Oh, they claim that Ellen White was no promoter of out-of-context. I'm sorry. I laugh too much at this stuff. Anyways, here's the value of this, okay? I'm not going to go off on researching all this. The value is that you've effectively found multiple books, okay? Here's another book, fabulous book that you can read and research. This is Scripture as Communication by Janine Brown, okay? Introducing Biblical Hermeneutics. You have this one here, which is Michael Allen and Scott Swain, which is, okay, Reformed Catholicity, the promise of retrieval for theology and biblical interpretation. So my point is, hopefully you all are seeing that this is the way you're going to research an idea, a concept, okay? Appreciate you, Adrian. Thanks for being here, my friend. So again, we've been going for just over 2 hours. There's a lot more we'll learn in this. Do me a favor, those of you that are still here, scan the QR code, join the Discord server, okay? I posted in the Discord server an updated link that will give you access to Logos. In fact, can some of you that are in Discord, can you grab that link and post it in the live chat so that those that are watching will have that link that's available. It gives you 30 days free so that you can test it, okay? If you're interested, please check that out. I will be doing more trainings over specific sections of Logos. We have just scratched the surface, friends. I mean, we haven't even scratched the surface. We've got all kinds of passage guide, exegetical guides, theological guides. We've got the note system. We've got Bible word studies, highlighting tools. There's just a plethora of stuff that we will be looking at over the next few kind of segments. Thank you, Brian. So check out the link. Check it out so that those of you that are interested, you can get access to that. By the way, using that link right now, thank you, Dexter. You've got that as well. Yes. Using that link right now, I think it's until the beginning, a little bit into March, okay, or thereabouts. Not only will you get the 30 days free, okay, but it will also help me in my resources with Logos. That's an affiliate link. Even if you don't purchase the full version of Logos or keep the subscription, okay, which is anywhere from like $9 to up to like $20 a month, okay? Even if you don't keep that, okay, you will still, as an affiliate, you will still give me $20 towards resources in my library. So just it'll help me out just by getting the free version. Okay, you don't even have to purchase anything. Just get the free version, test drive it for 30 days, jump into Discord by scanning the code up there, ask me questions. We have an entire channel that's Discord section that's dedicated to this. If you need help, I'll train you on it. I'll help you learn how to use this. Okay, I'm very passionate about this. I use Logos for literally probably 4 to 6 hours a day. Okay, I am constantly in Logos. I use it for my master's training. I use it for my writing. I use it for my citations. I use it for literally everything that I do. I don't know what I would do without it. I hope they never go out of business. That's why I want to support them. Okay. Friends, thank you for being here. I don't think I have anything else for the day. We will have tomorrow, just so you know, pay attention, subscribe to the channel. I have these like cool little like things, okay, that I didn't even think of. Okay, subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow there will be a live interview with Dr. Clinton Baldwin. Okay, there will be a live interview with Dr. Clinton Baldwin. We are going to be specifically going through, we are going to be nitpicking through the 1844, it's re-examined, investigative judgment. As a little bit of a surprise, okay, I can't give you details yet, but I am working on a discussion on this channel with ADL, myself, and Clinton Baldwin. Now, I'm not saying it's locked in yet, okay, but we're working on that to have an open kind of dialogue. I don't like to call it a debate. It'll be a well-meaning dialogue as best as we can on this channel. So pray about that. Pray that it continues to be planned well. There's a couple of months out before that will happen. I am also working with the help of Ryan Day on another dialogue with some other Adventist scholars and pastors. So pray about that as well. As well as you will be, again, please subscribe, become a member of the channel, please, if you can. Not only does that help financially, but you'll also get access to some other stuff as well. There's a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline, friends. I am currently I'm building out a 20-part series on biblical methods, how to study Scripture in a way that honors the text. I will be using Logos as a part of that, but you won't have to have Logos. I'm going to be training people on how to properly work through the biblical text in a way that honors it, equipping you with skills. You don't have to do it exactly the way I do it, but you'll at least have the skills to know how to do it in a way that honors the text, okay? So I'm working on that particular series. It'll be, I think, probably 15 to 18, maybe 20 some. I'm not sure exactly to get through all of it. I'm also working on some rebuttal items with the help of, hopefully we'll be doing a response to Doug Batchelor coming up possibly with the help of Ryan Day. We'll see on that one. Along with potentially doing a work through of all of the Adventist doctrines, and why I would either accept or reject said doctrine based on what Scripture says, and kind of biblically working through, in context, working through the actual doctrines themselves. Those are things that are kind of in the works, along with Academic Article Monday. There'll be a new one coming out this Monday, along with the Revelation series, along with additional interviews. I've got a Trinity interview coming the beginning of next month, so keep that in your thoughts and prayers as well. So friends, just do me a favor. Please, please, please subscribe, subscribe. If you want to financially help in any way, shape, or form, you can do that by a couple of different ways: subscribing to YouTube, going to the Patreon account, which is just the Thinking Cup Patreon account. You can subscribe there from anywhere from, I think, $5 a month up to $100 a month if you want to give financially. Don't feel obligated. If you want to just give a lump sum, go to thinkingcup.com, thethinkingcup.com, and there'll be a place for you to donate there through PayPal or another mechanism if you desire. So, friends, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending this time with us. Be safe, be blessed, and continue to study the Word of God in a way that honors the text for what it is. God bless, friends. We'll see you on the next one.